Hey bosses!
Hey.
Welcome back to the Modern Boss. I feel like we should have like a scream track, like.
Okay, we can make that happen.
Yeah, welcome back. So, let's get into it. How are you doing? How's your week? Tell me about, what's been going on with you in business.
Things have been good.
Okay.
Can't really complain. I haven't had a lot of time to think about my week yet because I've kind of just been going.
I feel you on that.
But yeah, I'm excited because I have a brand shoot coming up this weekend.
Yay!
I'm ready for a refresh of my photos and everything, so I'm excited about that.
I love that. So, how often do you do like brand shoots?
I don't know if I have like a set schedule at this point, but at least once a year.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I think I want to kind of do a refresh once
Nice.
every year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think is like, so we want to have a segment called wins and lows, or like one win, one challenge, not a low technically. So what is your win is going to be your brand shoot, or is that your win? Okay. And then, so what's your challenge for the week?
My challenge is going to be getting all that content together and doing something with it. That's going to be the
Listen,
challenge. We all need a Bianca because
because one thing about it, it's so easy to make the content.
Right.
But we were even talking about this like podcast, like the editing. It's the editing and then like using the content.
Yeah.
Because you'll have it.
Plan it out and then schedule it and then,
create the captions and think about like, what am I going to do with it and why do I want to use it, and if I'm going to do a campaign and what kind of campaign and how often am I going to use it.
Exactly.
So many things.
So,
yeah.
That's the challenge.
That's the challenge. It's the shaky voice for me. That's the challenge. Okay. But yeah. All right.
So what about you?
So my win for the week. Let's see, what was my win for this week? Oh, my win for this week was us working together.
Yeah.
So we worked on a client together this week. It was really nice to like kind of collaborate on that. We're taking our collaboration to the next level now.
Hey.
Because this is our second collaboration with a client. So, and this one I think is going to be a little bit more long term. So that was a win. Like it just went well. She was thoroughly impressed, and yeah, she came from the Boss Collective too. Like she
did.
Yeah, so after the Boss Collective, she was just like, I have to work with you guys. So that was good. That was a win for this week.
Definitely.
My challenge this week, I think it's like one of the challenges that I'm going to just have in this season of business is fitting it all into a day.
Woo.
Like,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like fitting it all, because as an entrepreneur, we all wear so many different hats. And so like wearing the hat of being a board member, being organizer of two businesses, right? I'm responsible for the Boss Collective. I'm responsible for a creative station. But then on top of that, like being a business that serves businesses,
right,
you're technically responsible for other businesses as well. So when you have a number of clients, you also have to think about like their processes and their systems and like,
yeah, it's a lot.
So it's a lot to like try to fit into a day to make sure that everybody just feels like they're a little bit loved on, and that you care for their business. So I've been doing a good job, but it's a little bit of a challenge because I like to procrastinate. It's like in me, I'm trying to do better. I'm growing this season. This year is going to be a different me, so I'm trying to grow out of the procrastination and the like, oh, I could get that done in 30 minutes. Like that's like my line. I could get that done in 30 minutes. And then like 3 hours later, I'm like, dang, that took a long time. Like, yeah, so that's my challenge this week. But yeah, share your ups and downs with us. Share one win and one challenge in the comments, and we would love to read it on our next episode of The Modern Boss. So please be sure to comment below, and we will read your challenge and your win, and I'm sure we can all relate.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can all relate. Okay, so we're going to go into what's hot in business,
Okay.
which is our segment that breaks down boss trends. And so with these boss trends, we're going to talk about the creator economy boom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So according to statistics, 50 million people, which I think is a lot. Like that's huge. Like 50 million is a lot.
Okay.
50 million people consider themselves content creators.
Oh, wow.
However, only 2% make a full-time income from content
Is
creation.
this like worldwide or just like nationwide?
Now, this statistic didn't tell me that. It just said 50 million people consider themselves. So the discussion is like, can you really monetize your content? That's the discussion. Because if 50 million claim that they're content creators, however, 2% of 50 million are actually making money from it. Full-time money. They said full-time, so that's the key. Full-time is the key.
Right. So see, this is my thing with content, right? Like, love content, love what it does. I just feel like people think that popularity and likes and engagement equals money, and that's not true. It's the conversions that equal money.
Yeah.
And so I think it can, as long as you are strategic with your content and you set it up in a way to where it converts, then yes, it can make you money.
Right.
But if it's just like, you know, something that's just to get your engagement up or your likes, that's not necessarily going to make you
Money. Yeah.
It can, but not necessarily.
Yeah. Well, you know what I was thinking when we were saying this is that like a lot of people consider themselves content creators, but what they probably don't consider themselves is business people. Because you can create content. It's easy to pull out your phone and like record a video and do a TikTok and take a cute photo shoot, like because your hair and makeup is done. But the business practices of like developing systems, creating outreach, like when I started, like, I started like influencing before it was called influencing.
Right.
And I was emailing these companies. I had like, it was kind of like, it's almost like you're like the version of a CRM, but like for companies, for businesses. Like you have to like pitch yourself, and you have to have like a rate kit, and you have to have a whole bunch of stuff. You have to have ideas.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like you can't just go there and be like, oh, just send me your product because like I want your product. That was like maybe like 5-10 years ago you could have got away with that. But now there's so many people who are like, I want your products. Like how many people are they going to send their products to?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're also considering that. Like now the market is saturated with content creators, but are you a business person? Do you have a actual plan to convert, to help the business convert? Because that's what's going to pay you.
That's true. So you can't just have the content and the ideas, but you also have to have the strategy and the plan.
Exactly. So that's what I think about it. I think like, yes, you can monetize your content. Yes, you can monetize your content, but you need to have business chops.
Yeah.
Something.
And educate yourself on the business side of things.
For sure. You
Yeah.
need to educate yourself. So then I think that's when I think that number could grow from 2% to like more than like maybe 10%.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
What do you think is a way for somebody to start a side hustle of content creating that converts? Like what would be your first, like give me one tip.
One tip. One tip to start content creating. I guess my tip would be like start with what you have.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times we kind of think big picture, like, oh, like I need all the equipment and all of this and all of that. But if all you have is like a really great, iPhone camera and a ring light from Amazon and some clip-on lights.
Yeah.
You could still make great content. Like it doesn't have to be. And I think especially now we're in like a time where people want more like authentic content. They don't necessarily want it to be like overly polished and,
For
perfect.
sure.
So yeah, just find your rhythm, use what you have, perfect it with what you have, and then by the time you're done perfecting it, you'll be ready to upgrade and to do more.
I agree.
But yeah, perfect what you have.
Yeah, I think that's huge to get your reps in.
Yeah.
right? Like get your get comfortable in front of a camera, comfortable speaking, get comfortable editing, because you're gonna have to do a lot of editing.
Yep. And learn yourself, like be able to look at yourself on camera and see what you want to improve. And a lot of people are scared to do that, but it's so necessary. Like that's something I have my clients do.
Yeah.
Like record yourself talking and study what you do when you're talking on camera.
Oh, for sure. But even with like, and I think another point is like with content creation, you should also consider your personality. Like what part of your personality do you want to amplify? Yes. Right? Because like obviously you don't want to like fake it, but there are points to your personality, like maybe your quirkiness or maybe your silliness or your jokester or whatever the case may be. Like I think you should evaluate your personality to see like what kind of essentially like persona will I be putting on when I put the camera on, because don't be boring.
Absolutely. And that comes with just being able to put yourself out there and keep doing it, because the more you do it and the more you talk about what it is that you're doing or selling, the easier it flows, and you start to realize, oh, I have my own vernacular. Like I have my own way of doing things and saying things. And so it becomes more natural the more you do it. Exactly.
Yes, ma'am. Well, that is one of the trending topics. The other one, and I like this one because it's about passive income.
Oh, okay.
And I like passive income. Okay, so the fun fact is, online course industry is projected to hit 325 billion. That's with a B.
Wow.
It is projected to hit 325 billion by 2025. Wow. So, why do you think digital products are replacing traditional business?
I mean, let's start with the obvious, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's less work as far as like shipping,
Tell me about it,
and all that other stuff. Like, you can literally create something, link it to your website, and have people just purchase it, and that's it. Like, you don't have to do anything else with it.
Right.
You know, it's like a one and done.
I agree. So, it's easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yeah.
But also, I was gonna say we both have digital courses, so I need to create another one actually, because that's a way to convert.
It is.
Like the more videos that you do, the more content that you create, you could just have digital projects just lingering and waiting for people just to buy it. Yeah.
I'm using everything now. So like, anything that I record or do, like I'm putting it in my member portal. If there's, like some webinars or things that I've done, I put it together into a bundle, sell that, because I know there's, things.
There's some, there's info there. So, and the thing about being an entrepreneur, but especially the entrepreneur that we are, as far as, I feel like we are, I don't know how to put this, but we are business owners that have information that business owners need. Oh yeah. Right? So like when we talk about our business, even though it seems like everyday conversation to us, right? Because you and I can have a conversation and somebody else that's not in marketing or branding is sitting in the conversation, they're probably like, whoa, what? Yeah. But I think it's so easy for us to just talk about it and not realize how much of a gem we're dropping. And I'm for one am definitely guilty of just like saying, I literally was on the phone with my client before we got here, and I was just like, yeah, you need to do this, this, and this, and this, and she was like, I should have recorded this conversation. Like, she was like, I need you to repeat what you said, because girl, what? I would have never thought of that. And I'm like, what? Like, in my mind, it was so simple. Like, of course you have to do this so it matches up with that, and then da 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 da. And she's like, what are you even saying right now? And I'm like, oh,
but there's value.
There's a lot of value. So yeah, recording yourself. I mean, it's easy. It's easier because you're already making the content. So just to record it and like capture it and then resell it is kind of like it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. One, but then also I think that we should tap into the passive part of it, right? Like the passive, like my favorite part. Oh Lord, when you don't have to work for money.
Woo. When I don't have to be present to get paid.
Ooh!
Everything.
Say that again.
It just feels liberating.
Woo! Feel the room. Feel the room. Feel the room.
I can't.
Feel the room, girl. Feel the room when you don't have to get present to get paid. You just get paid. You wake up to it. Ding. Like,
Listen,
oh.
Don't put that on a shirt. I don't have to be present to get paid.
Ooh.
I'm putting that on a shirt ASAP.
Don't take my friend's idea.
Okay? By the time you see this, it'll already be out.
Actually, buy the shirt below. It's by the Boss Collective. Oh my gosh. No, for sure. Like, I'm with you. Like, not being present to get paid is, I think it is one of the biggest hacks to successful business.
Yeah. Because the more you have to be, you only have so much time in a day.
And you don't want to give all your time.
Exactly. So the more you have to show up and be there in person and have your hands on things, like that drains your time, attention, and focus from other areas in your business that really matter. And as business owners, we just want to lead. We just want to focus on leading the business. We don't want to have to do all the other stuff.
The work. The work. Like,
if you set it up right,
yeah,
you could be.
And then one of my dreams, let me tell you about my vision. So one of my dreams is having a team of people who create content. Like, ooh, hallelujah. Yeah. Did it shake your spirit?
Listen, I'm in agreement.
Yes. So that was like my overall vision for a creative station, because it's supposed to be a station where you can get everything you need from content creation, social media marketing, email, whatever, but also you can get taught if you need to be taught. Because obviously there's like different levels of entrepreneurs. And if you are the entrepreneur that's just starting out and you're like, actually, I need to make this Wix website myself because I don't even have $500 to give you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any dollars to give you, really. I have no dollars. There's no dollars in this business. The business is only an idea. So really, I have no money to give you. You know what I mean? So what does that person do? Right? So I want to provide a solution for that. But I also want to provide a solution for that corporate business. It's like, actually, we've been in business for this much time and I need to take it to another level. And that's where we come in as a team to support that business. Or even like, for instance, what we're working on, like launching a new business, but she has the ability to invest in it. Right? So there's different levels. But anyway, don't let me get off on this dream. But yeah.
I love it, though. I love that.
Thank you. So let's talk about it. So we talked about like why we think that the business, like digital products, is taking over. So give us a tip about how to package your knowledge into a product, a sellable product.
Well, like I kind of hinted at it earlier. So like if you know you're going to be doing like, a webinar or, something that requires you to have to be recorded anyway, like find a way to bundle that with other things and maybe like create an ebook to go with it to kind of, increase that value. But yeah, I think, if you're already going to record it, just take what you already have and find ways to either improve it or bundle it and start with that. And then the more that you create and the more content that you have, you'll be able to find other uses for it. So like I was saying, like anything I record that I know has value, I put it in my member portal, so that way the people that are paying me monthly to be a member have, new content to look at, and they have something of value to look at. So it's just another way for me to kind of feed that library and pour into the people that are investing in themselves. And then other things that I've done, like my workshop, my webinar, this booklet that I put together for like ideal client profiling and avatars, like I bundled that together and made that into a bundle. So there's so many different ways that you can do it, but start with looking at what you already have and find ways to put it together and improve it.
So my thoughts on how to package up your knowledge. There's something that you said that we really didn't even touch on. You said membership.
Ooh, yes, membership.
Membership. So I think that's like, I think that's one of the biggest hacks too, like having some sort of like reoccurring membership.
Yes, you need it.
Yeah.
Some sort of recurring income.
Some recurring income. It's also passive, it's depending on how you set up your membership.
Right.
So I think that that's a great way to create sellable products, is to have some kind of reoccurring membership. And that can be applied to most businesses, really.
And you're not in an industry where you could do memberships, maybe it's something like maintenance or something else that you can do on a monthly basis. But figure out what that looks like for your business and then apply it.
Yeah.
You know, because that was something I like when I was doing mostly design. Like I would do like website maintenance and get paid for that, or other things. So it just depends on what your industry is.
Yeah.
But there's some type of way that you can have people subscribe or become members or do something.
Yeah. Like even if you had like a Patreon or a OnlyFans. All right, moving along.
I'm done.
I mean, listen.
I mean, it's for creators. Technically, it was created for creators. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Creators. So we're going to move into our next segment. And so this segment is about turning your passion into profit. It's the Passion to Profit playbook.
So what if we told you that what you love to do the most could actually be paying your bills and then some? Find out how your passion can be turned into profit.
All right, so let's talk about it. The first step from passion to profit is to find your niche and to validate it. So we can talk about basically how do people actually do that? Like, how do you find your niche and then how do you validate it? Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you can talk about the finding it part and I'll talk about the validating it part.
Okay, so finding your niche. I'm not really good at the finding the niche part, honestly, because so one, I knew that I was in marketing. I think finding your niche has to do with trial and error, to be honest with you. A lot of the things that I don't do now is because I did them and I didn't like it. Yep. So, like I do not design websites. She does. And she loves it. She's great at it. Me, not so much. Don't want to do it. Don't want to deal with it. But I love a good website and I can give you feedback on it and I can consult on it, but creating it, So that's how I was able to niche down the services that I provide, in the agency, and able to say like, okay, I just need to find a partner that does. I need to find a contractor that does, because then I don't have to do it. But also, as far as the people that I serve, it was also trial and error. Like I casted a wide net when I first started my business, and whoever I enjoyed working with, whoever I saw consistent income from, that started to be my niche. And then niche, I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard it both ways. Niche.
Whatever, all of the above.
You know what we're talking about.
You know. And so that's how that became my niche. Like as far as like service-based businesses is kind of like my niche, because I tried e-commerce, and I'm not opposed to e-commerce. I have an e-commerce client right now, but it's a different beast. Like it's a totally different beast. So once you start getting kind of into the niche that you have, it's easier to validate, because then your process is pretty similar to from client to client or person to person. Like once you actually kind of hunker down and you're like, oh, okay, this is like my methodology. So that's how you can validate it. But yeah, that's how I found my niche, is like trial and error. What about you?
I would say in addition to that, it's really figuring out what makes you unique as a business. You know, like taking the time to find that out and figure that out. I would say that, I definitely think, service-based is also, where my focus is, but specifically like entrepreneurs and executives that are purpose-driven. So like that's who I focus on the most, because technically, those type of people tend to want to go into the thought leader space, and that's where my focus is. So it just kind of depends on figuring out what makes you unique and what it is that you do differently than other people and what you bring to the table that other businesses in your industry don't.
Right.
And once you can figure that out, it's easier to kind of package that and present it to other people,
Yeah, but that also has to do with like evaluating your personality as well. Like kind of like what we talked about earlier with like digital products and like creating content. Exactly. It also has to do with who you are as a person, because Like, honestly, being a business owner is literally self-development in like real life form.
Yeah, you have to be developing, otherwise you won't make it.
Baby,
You
it's like
have to.
forever developing. You're like forever changing, forever taking another step forward, forever learning.
Oh my gosh, we're making too much light.
Listen, it's like a forever thing. So it's kind of like whenever you try to figure out that niche and that, like, you have to do what serves your personality.
Yes.
Like, if you feel tense or like you just don't enjoy it, not that I'm saying that everything you're doing in your business is going to be enjoyable,
Right.
but there are certain things that you're going to be like, oof, like,
This is not for me.
I just do not enjoy this. I do not want to do this ever in my life. And the beauty of being a business owner is that you can choose not to do that.
Exactly. Like, you get to choose
You get to choose
what you do.
Yeah. So that's the first step. And then the next step is your favorite. The next step is to build your personal brand and your online presence. Okay. Why are you the brand and how do we stand out in a crowded market?
Ooh, okay.
This is her. Like, I already saw the thoughts
Okay,
running
so the
through
first
your
part
head.
of the question was, why are you the personal brand?
Why are you the brand?
Okay, I mean,
And yeah.
just to make it simple, you are the brand because you're the first point of contact. Like, your business is an extension of who you are.
Literally.
Right? It's a byproduct. And so the more that you put into yourself, the more that it's going to reflect in your business. So when you focus on branding yourself as like the person, you know, that's what people are going to associate with your business and with your, you know, your brand. So it's like you have to make sure that's on point, right? Because if people don't like you, they're not going to do business with you. So you want to make sure you're developing yourself and your brand and getting people familiar with who you are, you know, so that way they can decide whether or not they're even interested in learning more about your business.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. But when people can see that you have a clear brand, like a clear personal brand, and it's very, you know, clear who you are, what you're about, what you stand for, it gives people the option to really get to know you in a different way.
Yes.
And to subscribe to you and therefore your business.
Yes.
So.
But also, when you do create a personal brand, it gives you the ability to pivot.
Yes,
right? So
true.
if, for instance, like, actually, like me, like, I started off as a blogger. So I built up a personal brand because I was building a blog and I was doing influencing and I was doing interviews and I was doing all these things. And then I pivoted into starting a marketing agency. And so because of the personal brand, people were able to see that, like, oh, she's trustworthy. She's done things before and she's had experience. So I think that it gives you the ability to pivot when you need to pivot and to pivot into whatever you want that to be. Because, like, at some point, like, you've, like, for instance, yourself, like, you've pivoted into like family content with you and Daniel, or you've pivoted into relationship yeah, like, you can do whatever you want to do, and there are so many branches that you can, like, have off of yourself because we're such dynamic people, right? So we have different interests. Like, yeah, I'm interested in marketing, but I'm also interested in fashion. I'm also interested in public speaking. I'm also interested in teaching. I'm also interested in all kinds of things, like art, you know? So
you become the umbrella.
You become the umbrella, and it gives you the ability to make more money, because once you establish one business and it's like running on autopilot, then you can go and find something else to do or add on to the business. So I think that's why it's important to have you as the brand. Now, the second part of the question is, how do you stand out in a crowded market?
Honestly, it goes back to what we talked about last week. You have to be authentic.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to, and this is the thing, right? I feel like, especially when it comes to your messaging, a lot of people, like, they kind of talk to everyone, and so they reach no one. So you kind of have to be very clear on exactly who you're talking to,
right,
and what you stand for. Because when you're bold enough and authentic enough and willing enough to make a clear stance about those things, especially in the digital, you know, world, it definitely helps you to not only stand out, but to attract people that are on that same wavelength. You know, and that are ready to connect with you or to work with you.
Right.
And so I think it takes a level of boldness and authenticity to really be like, this is who I am, and this is what I'm about, this is what I am called to do, and I'm just casting my net out there.
What
shooting
up?
Your shot.
Yeah.
In the business world.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's so my point is, to stand out in a crowded market, you have to be consistent.
That word. That's the word.
You have to be consistent. Yeah, that's not going to work if you aren't showing up. You can be authentic in your home all day. Like, nobody sees you.
You gotta go be visible.
Right, you gotta be visible, babe. But not only visible, like, don't just put, like, I think that consistency is such a term that can mean so many different things, because when somebody says consistent and then the next question is like, okay, well, how much do I need to post? How often do I need to post? Like, what do I got to do? I don't feel like consistency only looks like that. Like, right. I think, because automatically you think social media, but I think consistency is showing up in your community, showing up online, showing up, even if it's in your emails. Maybe you're just consistent with your tribe. Like, it doesn't mean that like you have to make social media content every single day and post videos every day, but there has to be a level of consistency and longevity to you as a business owner, and there has to be a consistency with your messaging and your branding, right? So that consistency of like, I show up in this pink every time we have the Boss Collective, because you'll know that this is the Boss Collective every time you see this hot pink, right? So it's not like you're just throwing random things, or even like the colors you show up in different meetings, right? Even like the way you present yourself, like how you can be consistent. Like, it's just, I think consistency is one of the biggest ways to stand out in a crowded market, because that goes back to the statistic that we heard earlier. Like 50 million people consider themselves content creators, but only 2% make a full-time income. And that's because most people cannot be consistent with content.
That's true. Like,
they'll go hard for a couple months and then like you'll never hear them like, oh, I started my YouTube. And then like, what happened to your YouTube? And then people come back 5 years later like, dang, YouTube, I didn't mean to drop you like that. But it's just like, it's hard. It's not easy to be consistent. But I think that if you want to stand out in a crowded market, then you have to be consistent. So,
you do.
So yeah, that's my thing. I think that's how you would.
I like how you put that. And I think too, just to add to that, it's really hard to stay consistent when you don't have systems.
Oh.
And so you kind of have to put things in place to aid your ability to be consistent. Right? And I think that's how we get to that place as entrepreneurs. We're like, we have momentum and then we get burned out. So it stops. And falls to the wayside. So when you have systems in place, when you know what to automate and what to delegate and what to outsource and what to physically show up for, it really helps, because then you're not burning yourself out trying to be all things at all times.
For sure. For sure.
So you have to figure out what works for you and for your business and where you are right now, and try to set that up in a way to where you don't fall into the burnout cycle.
Because it's easy to. But that's I think the systems is like, I mean, it's pivotal, because even if you're not even to the point where you can delegate, right? You're just a solopreneur, you're trying to figure it out. You need to, like, even if it's like your appointment system, even if it's your email marketing, even if it's just like your leads, like something has to be automated, something has to have a system, because you're not gonna make it, babes. Like something. Do it's one of them systems, or even the way that you like network, even the way that you put yourself out there, that should have a schedule and a system, because if you don't have that, then it's just like you're running in circles at all times. You have no strategy.
Exactly. We just keep getting back to that word, don't we?
Listen, strategy is so important, and I think that a lot of business owners miss that mark. Like they just jump into it and it's like, oh, I'm gonna just do this, and it's like, no. How often, when, where? Right. So what do you think is more important, social media or your website?
Ooh.
Got to stay on your toes, Oksana. You got to stay on your toes.
Does one have to be more important?
It says versus. Which matters more?
I think they both matter for different reasons.
I agree.
It's hard for me to choose because they matter for different reasons.
They do. They play two different roles.
They do.
Yeah.
You know, like social media is great as far as like, you know, your lead system.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to bring in leads, but your website captures the leads.
Yes.
And it nurtures the leads.
Yes.
And, you know, it provides a place where people can not only see who you are and what you do, but where they can pay you for what you do.
Yeah.
So it definitely has its uses.
Yes. And they can do more research on who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. A lot of people they will thoroughly go through your website just to figure out who you are and who they're trying to work with.
Yeah.
And then I also think that another forgotten piece about the website is SEO.
Yes.
Like how important it is to just be able to search somebody on Google and be able to find them. And how easy of a conversion that is based on then social media, right? Because like people are already looking for you and they find you through search. And don't get me wrong, you know, I'm social media down. However, like I just think that's a component that's always missed.
Got you. That makes sense. And like I said, I love social media. You know, it has its uses, like, and it's a way for you to get out there, put your content out there, provide some value, maybe educate a little bit, introduce people to who you are, what you do, you know, interact with people. So like it has its place.
Of course.
You know, and like I said, it can lead people to go to your website.
Yes.
So I think they both work in tandem to accomplish, you know, a lot of different things, but they have their own purposes and they're both important.
I get you. Yeah, I'm with you. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. So now we're at step 3. So the first step, let's recap for you guys. The first step was find your niche. The first step was find your niche. And niche. I like niche. Okay, first step was find your niche and validate it. The second step was build your personal brand and online presence. Mm-hmm. And then the third step is monetize the right way. Mm-hmm. So what would your products be, right? How to choose between services, products, memberships, or courses, and your pricing strategy. So how do you think people, like, I guess this would be like a beginning business. Like, what do you think a new business owner, how would they choose between the different products?
I mean, it's going to depend on the type of business.
Yeah.
To be honest. But I mean, if you're a product-based business, like start with a simple digital product.
Yeah.
That you can, you know, lead people to. If you're a service-based business, figure out what your core offers are and build those first.
Yeah.
You know, and then after you get that solid, like you have people coming in consistently that are interested in your offers, like you've polished it up, then you can start thinking about what else you want to add, you know, either to those offers or if you want to start introducing other things.
Right.
You've actually, you know, taken the time to go through that. But yeah, it just depends on the business.
I think, let's say you're a service-based business, right? Mm-hmm. I think that you should provide services until you build a certain level of audience.
Yeah, and then you can start thinking about memberships and things like that.
Because like coming out the gate as a new business, unless you're already like, your 9-to-5 was that business and you had already established a personal brand.
Right.
And you're just like trying to monetize your personal brand now.
That makes sense.
Then yes. But if you're a new business, you're just starting out, I think you go services or product, like before you can even think about membership, courses, all that stuff. Like, what are you teaching? You don't even know. Like, you're just a new business. Like, I'm just saying.
Facts.
But once you're established, then definitely like courses, memberships, things like that. So the next step is get your first paying client. So talking about strategies that converts followers into clients.
Okay. I don't know. That's always been an interesting question for me because I think I kind of stumbled into what I do.
Okay.
So it wasn't like I necessarily planned on.
I didn't plan on this either, so I get you.
For me, what it was people just seeing the work I was doing for myself and then asking like, hey, can you do that for me too? Mm-hmm. But because I was doing things and striving to be excellent at what I did, and I was posting about it and being consistent with showing up and talking about it, people started asking me, well, could you do that for my business? And, could you help me with my website, and could you help me with that and this? So before I knew it, that's what kind of prompted me to start it as like a company, so I was like, okay, I'll freelance for a little bit, get some clients under my belt, get some experience under my belt until I'm ready to start a business. And so now that I have started a business.
But that's a strategy.
I guess so. I just never thought of it.
You weren't being strategic, but it is strategy. Yeah. Like putting out yourself or displaying your work.
Right. So yeah, I was showcasing.
So posting about it, talking about it, showing up in excellence. That's a strategy. Yeah.
Okay. Yay, strategy.
Yay. A strategy for me to get paid clients. If we're talking social media, actually hashtags have worked.
Okay.
Multiple times actually.
Okay.
Hashtags work well. Another way for me, networking. Networking is probably one of the biggest ways for me to convert clients. Okay. And then also, I think another strategy for clients is another strategy for getting clients is doing good work. Yeah. Like being trustworthy.
And getting those referrals.
And getting a referral. Because referrals will take you way further than like cold calling or anything like that. So,
because people trust word of mouth more than anything.
Oh, 1000%. Especially it's from a trusted person. Like they trust the person and the person trusts you. Then that's like an easy sell. Like you don't have to convince the person, especially if they have the budget.
Yeah, that part.
Especially if they have the budget, then it's not a hard sell.
Yeah, and I think especially for like my first year of business, referrals definitely helped a lot because, I was figuring some stuff out. But it definitely helps because people would be like, I'm gonna send somebody your way, and I let them know that you did a great job on my website. Like, if I ever know somebody that needs this, like trust me, you're gonna be referred, and things like that. Yeah. And so I got some really great referrals and some really great clients from referrals. Yeah. So definitely works.
Yeah, I just got a referral today, and thankfully, and the person who referred the person over to me was like, I talked you up so much, so really, I don't think it's gonna be it won't be too hard to like get them as a client because awesome. I've hyped you up. And I was like, okay, well, great. Now you have to and that's the point of being like trustworthy, right? Because now you have to live up to that hype. Not that it's pressure, but it's like, if this person trusts me to continue to refer things to me, show up for that person that they referred you to.
Exactly.
But yeah, so.
And even just putting yourself out there, period. There was this group that I was in. It was a Facebook group because I was looking for groups that, had other designers and people that were in like similar industries. So I was in this group, and this guy posted about needing somebody to design emails for like fashion brands. I had never done email marketing up until that point, but I was like, you know what? I know my designs, are pretty good. So let me send him what I have. And I had done a brand shoot for this client of mine that was trying to launch a clothing line before. So I sent him stuff from that. And I ended up getting hired by him for like almost 2 years.
We love that.
Yeah. So just be willing to put yourself out there and trust that what you have put into your work is going to speak for you.
Oh, yeah. And reach out. And actually, I got a client one time off of Twitter.
Really?
Yeah. It was during the pandemic. Right. X now. But yeah. Formerly known as Twitter. But because the person had tweeted, I'm looking for a social media manager, and I just happened to be on Twitter. Like, I don't know, maybe I think it was like a time when it was during the pandemic, so it was like things were slow anyway. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, how do I find leads? Like, because we're not networking.
Exactly.
We're not.
We're stuck in the house.
We're stuck in the house, and like, I think I was in a funk too much to like, to be posting like that. Like, I was posting, but not like for real. And so I was like, how do I find leads? And then I just went on Twitter of all the places. God will just take you places, like, because I'm not an active tweeter. Like, it's just never been my platform. But I just went on Twitter and searched, like, looked up the hashtag social media manager.
Right.
And this woman had been like tweeting about like looking for one, and I just like sent her my email, and I emailed her and sent her my portfolio, and I got like one of the biggest, that was at the time, that was like one of my biggest clients. I was like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's about putting yourself out there, but also use those hashtags. They work.
Yeah. Facts.
I just got a client this month from a hashtag.
Okay, come on, hashtag. We need to do a segment about social media. And like social media strategies.
Yeah, I can talk about social media strategy all day. Okay, the last and final step is scale and automate. Okay. What is the first thing that you would automate in your business to free up your time? If you're new, I guess.
For me, emails.
Oh.
Point blank period.
I didn't even get the sentence out. Jeez.
For me, it's the emails. That was one of the first things I automated.
Yeah.
Because when I was doing like my day-to-day client interactions and things like that, I was just like,
no.
Why do I have to be sitting here doing this physically when I can like, I'm like, if it's the same process over and over, why can't I just duplicate? So SOPs definitely are important.
Standard operating procedures.
Super important. But yeah, emails for me. Not even just for like communications, but for nurturing leads as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So like having my email sequences stacked out for like months at a time.
I need to get there one day.
So.
My thing that I would automate if I needed to free up my time, I was going to say social media, but like realistically, most people probably won't do it. But I would say my packages and products. Okay. Like, it's not necessarily an automation, but it's a form of automation, like having them in one place to be able to like drag and drop, or like if you're putting together like my proposals, all my products are right there. So I just drag them into the proposal. Like I'm not rewriting each, unless I'm customizing a proposal. Right. But even if I'm customizing a proposal, my prices are still the same. It's just customized for that client so that they have the different things within the proposal that I think would move their brand forward. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so that would be like, that freed up so much time. Because I remember when I first started, I used to like literally like, oh, like how much do I charge for emails? How much do I charge for this? Like in my mind, or like written on just a PDF. But now I have a system where they're all in there. So whenever I need to send an invoice, I can do it through my phone. Like I already have my product in there. I just send the invoice, So that's probably one of the biggest things, because then you know that it's not going to take time from you to like figure out what you would charge. So yeah, so that's probably the biggest thing that I would do, like if it's the first thing.
Okay, yeah, I've done that one too.
Yeah.
So
cool.
It's helpful.
Do you have any other tips for the businesses or the bosses?
Any other tips? Not really.
Yeah, I think just do it at this point.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we've put this together like from passion to profit, because a lot of us, these are actionable steps. We literally talked about action steps that you can do as a business and take action with. And we talked about the different 5 steps, right? Find your niche. Second is build your personal brand and online presence. The third is monetize the right way. Step 4 is get your first paid customer. And step 5 is scale and automate the long-term success. So now that you know all of the steps, you have to do them.
Yeah. Nike.
Just
do it.
Please sponsor us, Nike. I could see myself in a Nike business suit.
That'd be cool.
That'd be fire. So yeah, just do it. Like just actually put in the effort. Yeah. Like that's all we can say at this point. It's like you have to put in that action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just did an event recently that was literally about that, like making those moves, like those boss moves. So yeah, I think it's just about being willing to do it. Now that you have tools, apply them and actually go out and do the work.
Yeah, I agree. So what was your biggest takeaway for today?
My biggest takeaway, I would say my biggest takeaway was the part where we talked about, niching down and just trying to figure out what makes you unique and being true to yourself and being bold enough to put yourself out there.
Facts.
To attract what you are supposed to attract.
Nice.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway was not being present to get paid.
Oh, listen, that blessed me too.
It just keeps, every time I say it, it's just like my body feels so much joy. I feel it in my bones. It's just like my body feels so good.
Listen, don't set it and forget it.
Set it and listen. Set it and forget it. I remember that. I had one. They'll set it and for my dad bought that off the TV for sure.
Oh,
set it and forget it, and it didn't really work that way, but. But yes.
Having things that you don't have to micromanage in order to make money.
Ooh, Lord. If I don't have to manage it.
Listen.
Oof. Just a check coming in.
Just create it, set it up, get your messaging together, get your, however, if you're doing a funnel or website page, whatever you're doing, get it set up and use your content.
And just run it down, run it back. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what spoke to me this time. I'm like, get back on it. Because like I have one, but I need more.
Mm-hmm. I'm working on more.
So yeah. I feel you. So yeah, set it and forget it. Okay. Well, I think we've done it. We've wrapped another episode of The Modern Boss. And if you love today's episode, please screenshot a picture of this episode, put it on your social media and tag us and let us know what step you're going to be working on next, because we're about that action. We're not just about talking about it. We need to put in that action to take this business to the next level. That's what she said. Be about it. Period. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to The Modern Boss.
And
we'll see you guys next time. I don't know.
How do we want to?
One day we'll have a outro.
We're working on it.
Yeah. Until then,
we're just letting it flow.
Yeah.
But until next time.
Go to work.